The 2015 to 2021 Subaru WRX. This is the fourth generation in the United States, although some people like to say it's the first generation because this is the first time Subaru dropped the Impreza name and they just called this the WRX and the WRX STI. But in reality, this is the fourth gen, and I'm going to be talking about some basic specs and get you acquainted with this car if you don't know what it is already. And for those of you who are considering on purchasing one, I'm going to share with you the issues that you can run into with these cars, along with some resources that you can use to research various issues and complaints. Then we can talk about the WRX buying market, pricing, warranties, and then we can conclude. All right, so what is the WRX? Well, it is a sports sedan from Subaru. Comes standard with their excellent symmetrical all-wheel drive system. It's a very capable car. In fact, I've driven the STI version, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a very special driving experience. I loved the way that car drove. The handling, the chassis work, it was just next level, and there was so much character in driving that STI. In fact, I liked it more than vehicles like the new Golf R. I genuinely thought the STI was more fun than that because the capabilities were just so high. You can take corners at such high speed. There's hardly any body roll with it. The engine sounds fantastic, and you just felt very connected to the car. Of course, most reviewers and journalists, they're going to give the top spot to vehicles like the Golf because it's more of a better all-rounder, I guess. It's a little bit more comfortable, more refined, nicer interior. I mean, these are the main drawbacks with the WRX of this generation. You do get a cheap plastic interior space. It is very loud inside, and especially with the STI models, the suspension is rather stiff. Although personally, I could daily drive it. I love the way the STI felt, but I already know a lot of people, they will be offended by that ride quality. But refinement is the main drawback regarding the drive of the WRX, but I guess most of us don't care. The thing drives so amazing that we're able to look past that. And these cars do have amazing resale value, as we're about to find out. But many people are probably wondering what's the difference between a regular WRX and the STI. Well, the STI, both when it was new and both in the used car market, it's about $10,000 more expensive than a regular WRX. And the reason for that is because you get a more powerful 2.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder engine, putting out 305 horsepower and 290 pounds-feet of torque. You also get beefed up suspension, you get better brakes. There's a lot of little changes that make the STI a proper sports sedan, although I think for a lot of people the regular WRX, especially in the used car market, might be the better choice for the lower price and for the slightly better ride quality as well, based on what other people have said. And you also get a little bit better fuel economy as well, because the STI, another issue with that car is it only gets 17 mpg in the city and 23 out on the highway. That's almost V8 levels of fuel economy, so that's not cool. But you go with a regular WRX, you're getting a 2 liter 4-cylinder with 268 horsepower, 258 pounds-feet of torque. It now gets 21 city, 28 highway. That's a lot better. You should definitely use premium fuel with these cars, and you have the ability of getting these cars with a excellent 6-speed manual transmission, or you have the ability of getting it with the CVT with certain trim levels, and it's supposed to mimic either a 6 or an 8-speed automatic. That's what that CVT is trying to do. But that manual is just so good, and if you know how to drive a manual, definitely go for it. And with the STI, you have no choice, you have to get the manual. 0 to 60 on a STI is about 4.7 seconds. It's about 5.7 when you go with the regular WRX. And those are your main changes. You can also go to websites like Edmunds. They do a great job in showing you what's new with every model year. But 2018 was a good year because they revised the steering and the suspension. They also gave the car thicker glass, seals, and insulation for improved NVH. So if you want a more refined version of this generation going with the 2018 and up would help you. And in 2019, the STI models got 5 extra horsepower, so now makes 310 horsepower. But 2018 and up, those are good model years to go with. Anyway, the car is amazing. Love driving it. Let's get into the issues that you can run into with a used WRX of this generation. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and go through every little issue that you can run into with these cars. Owners are also welcome to share other things in the comment section below. I want the comment section to also be a useful resource to people. But here, I'm going to share with you some websites that you can use for your research purposes. The best one is going to be nhtsa.gov. I just typed in 2016 WRX and you have 4 sections here: complaints, recalls, investigation, and manufacturer communications, also known as TSBs or technical service bulletins. These are issues that the company themselves find with their own product. It says that there's 316 of these TSBs. However, most of it is a bit redundant, or it's just frivolous little things like updating the wording on a manual or something. So it's not exactly 316 issues, but it's definitely worth looking into. But the complaint section is a lot more useful. This is where owners like you and me write in, and we have a lot of engine complaints here, and that's the main issue, is the drivetrain with these WRXs, engine, transmission. We had one individual where the car was hesitating and stuttering, and the car got very hot, and the owner went through and replaced the coilover plugs, and various cylinders were misfiring, and the car had 73,000 miles on it. It was with the FA20 engine. We had another owner that had a clutch issue, and that seems to be a common problem with these cars, the clutch on the manuals. It became stiff and unusable, and it's about $1,500 to $2,500 to get the clutch fixed, and a lot of people end up just going with an aftermarket clutch that performs better than the OEM, so that's something that you can look into. But NHTSA, that's definitely a website that you can use, and you can go through all of the various complaints and TSBs. A simple Google search where you just type in Subaru WRX problems will give you some great articles like copilotsearch.com, where they tell you the various issues and they tell you which model years to avoid. Obviously, the first 2 model years, 2015 and 2016, you should definitely avoid that. Those are the most problematic years. And as I mentioned before, 2018 and up is going to be a little bit more ironed out, and you also get the refinement updates as well. But yeah, you have engine issues, we have rod bearings, piston rings, all of that is a failure point, along with oil leaks, turbocharger issues, faulty oxygen sensors. And these are direct injected engines, so the higher mileage vehicles, they can definitely run into some carbon buildup, and it can be pretty expensive to get that cleared out. So it's imperative that you use premium fuel, and also many owners recommend that you get an oil change every 3,000 miles with these cars. And that's another thing about these turbo engines. The way that you drive them, it also has to be in a particular way. You should definitely give the car a chance to warm up before you just start beating on it. A lot of these turbo engines, they don't like quick or short drives where you just get in the car, drive a mile, and then stop. They don't like that. It needs to be driven for like 5 or 10 minutes. And then once you do come to a stop, you shouldn't just turn the vehicle off. You should give it about 30 seconds for the car to rest, and then you should turn it off. So there's some inconveniences there, but that's just what you have to do if you care about prolonging the life of not just this WRX, but just about any modern day turbo car. However, most people don't do that, and most people don't really care. But other resources that you can use, we have the North American Subaru Impreza Owners Club. Forums are definitely a great place to get some information. And of course, like always, you're going to get people that have owned these cars for 400,000 miles with 0 issues. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but let's not act like that's the rule and not the exception. And if you are an owner with a WRX with 800,000 miles, you don't have to be offended. I'm just trying to save people that don't quite have the means, like college students that are really excited about the idea of picking up a $10,000 2015 WRX with 200,000 miles on it. I'm just trying to save those people from blowing all of their savings. I've noticed that people that do have the means and do have the money, they typically don't have any issues. And of course, with the WRX platform, a lot of people love to modify these cars, and that causes issues and stress points to the car. Connecting rods now become a weak point. These are performance cars. People love to beat on them. They love to modify it. They like to go crazy with these cars, and I don't blame them. These are amazing driving vehicles. If you can squeeze more power out of it, dude, these things become monsters. They're really incredible driving machines. But a lot of the issues I talked about, that's just with a stock vehicle. When you start modifying, you not only void your warranties, but now you're just expediting these issues, and now you're just causing more stress to your car. But I think you get the point. We have a lot of engine troubles here, transmission problems. In fact, there was a viewer that just commented on my 2025 Forester review. He says that he has a 23 Forester Limited or Touring, one of the expensive ones, and at 14,000 miles, his brand new Forester, his CVT transmission just failed. So anything can happen to anyone. It's imperative, especially with these performance cars, to get a warranty, and a lot of people are just totally against the idea of a warranty and hedging yourself against these issues. They think that the warranties just won't pay out. I mean, if you have a heavily modified car, yeah, of course they're not going to pay out. But if you've been keeping up with your maintenance and you haven't been up to any shenanigans, they will pay. And with all of these engine issues, I think you should definitely get a warranty on this car, because it's not just the engine. There was a WRX owner that had a HVAC issue, and that's another common thing that goes wrong with just about any car, and that costs thousands of dollars. And it's great to have that warranty to be able to cover that, along with suspension components, electronics. These are modern day vehicles at the end of the day. There have been some owners complaining about the Subaru EyeSight safety features. That tends to fail on them, especially in the cold or in the snow. The sensors get all messed up. So that's another thing that a warranty will be able to cover, is those electronics, the actuators, and of course the drivetrain, like we already mentioned multiple times. So in this next segment, let's go ahead and let's talk about the WRX buying market along with warranties. Okay, I'm on Car Gurus, and this is definitely my most favorite website to search for cars, because you can filter out the accident and the salvage title / lemon history cars. The reason why you want to do that is because vehicles that have been in an accident, you have no idea how the body shop put these cars back together. It'll never be back to that OEM spec, so it's best to just avoid that. And also vehicles that have a accident or a lemon history on the Carfax, you will never get a good trade-in value for it when you go to sell it. So I just like to avoid all of that. And between the STI and the regular WRX, we have about 1,200 clean versions of these cars available for sale from 2015 to 2021. And some of the lowest priced STIs with about 100,000 miles on it, they're going for about $20,000. So the resale value is pretty clutch on these cars. But again, with any used car, especially these WRXs, you have no idea how some of these people treated these cars. One person's 10,000 miles can be the equivalent of another person's 100,000 miles. You don't know if these cars have track miles on them, if they've been modified. I mean, some of them clearly have been modified. You can tell by the body kits and the rims, but others you wouldn't be able to tell. So that's one question mark. And also, at the beginning, I talked about kind of how unrefined these cars can be. A cheap plastic interior plus a crappy ride quality means that the interior is going to be creaking and rattling like crazy. So you have that clapped out interior space. That's not cool. You go to the WRX, the regular ones. The cheapest ones are going for about $10,000, $11,000. Again, with super high mileage. And this is what a lot of the college students are going to be interested in. And I have to tell you, before you blow your entire life savings on this and all that college tuition money, I would really think twice about that. Is this mandatory in your life? Or can you just get away with financing a brand new Corolla SE sedan for $25K and calling it a day? I don't know. I think that might be the better option for most people, because for someone that does not quite have the wherewithal to purchase a car like this and maintain it, I just can't see this being a blessing in their life. I mean, you have enough things to worry about. The last thing you need to worry about is your car actually blowing up. Although I get it, some people, they like the chaos, they like the mystery, and they like rolling the dice. I know a lot of people like that, so do you, but I'm just trying to save the few people from any mishaps. And once you start filtering out the high mileage cars, you start looking at 30K miles or less on both vehicles. You have a lot less options, and the price immediately goes up like crazy. Okay, STIs are now at about 30 grand, and the regular WRX is around $25,000. However, at this point, I think most are better off sorting by the certified pre-owned cars. But man, there really are not that many CPO options to choose from. There's 17 WRXs and 8 STI models. That's pretty sad. But in this next segment, I'm going to talk more about what certified pre-owned is and if it's going to be worth it to you or not. All right, CPO, that means certified pre-owned. These are vehicles that have to meet a certain threshold to even be considered a CPO car. For Subaru, the car can't be older than 5 years old, and it's got to have less than 80,000 miles on it, and it has to pass a 152-point safety inspection. Every brand offers CPO cars. The main reason you want one of these vehicles is because it comes with a warranty. Subaru CPO cars come with a 7-year, 100,000 mile powertrain warranty with a $0 deductible. You get better finance rates. This is another reason to consider CPO. It's as low as 5.5%, which again, we're in that high interest rate environment. When you go with the CPO used car, you get more favorable interest rates. Something to think about. You can also get roadside assistance, and if you're a current Subaru owner and the car is like less than 10 years old and you have a Subaru in the household, you can also get a $500 discount on a CPO model. So this is really something to think about. There's not many of these cars available for sale. I mean, the STIs, 2018s and up, they're going for $31,000 to $38,000. And the regular WRX, it's closer to 26, 27 grand. Granted, this is what the MSRP of these cars were when they were brand new. So you're not saving anything, but that's the post-pandemic market that we're in. We're basically paying MSRP for used cars with mileage on it, and we're paying super high interest rates on them. So it's sad, but it's the reality. If you love this car and you love this body style, you have no choice. You have to go with the used car market. And in this instance, I think going with the regular car is the better bet. It's a lot cheaper, about $10,000 cheaper, and you're getting newer vehicles like 2020 model years, in some cases with less than 20,000 miles on it. So that's great. Now keep in mind, with Subaru CPO, I know 7-year, 100,000 miles, that sounds good, but that's only for the drivetrain. If you want to cover other things, you have to pay up more money for it. That's one thing I don't like about Subaru, but honestly, they cover you for a long time, so I can't really complain. And you have two options to choose from, the Classic Plan or the Gold Plus. The Classic Plan will expand your powertrain warranty to include other things like front suspension, steering, brakes, electrical, cooling, fuel systems, and air conditioning. They also give you towing and rental car reimbursement. That's great. I would at least go for the Classic Plan. The Gold Plus, it almost acts like a true bumper-to-bumper warranty. That's also great. After doing some research, I think both of these plans, they range between $1,400 to $2,000. Again, that's covering you for 7 years or 100,000 miles. That is a long time. Honestly, it is worth paying that. So whatever the CPO prices that you're looking at, add about $2 grand to it, and I think that's pretty accurate. Now, I would just confirm with the finance manager that you're dealing with. Make sure that the warranty that they're selling you is prorated, meaning you can cancel at any time and get a portion of the warranty that you did not use refunded back to you. So if you paid $2,000 and in 3 years or 3.5 years you sell the car, you should be able to get a $1,000 refund for the portion that you did not use. But otherwise, that's a worry-free way of owning a WRX. But if you see a car that you like that's not CPO and it's clean and you have a mechanic check it out, do a pre-purchase inspection, everything checks clear, and you want to buy it, in my experience, the one warranty that I had that actually paid out and did a great job is the Hendrick Auto Guard warranty. You get their platinum warranty and they do a great job in paying out when repairs do occur. I had a 2010 Acura TSX. I had a 4-year, 100,000 mile platinum warranty, covered everything, and they had no issues in paying out for the 3 different issues that I had. And that costed me $2,000 back in 2016, and it was prorated. That's something you can look into. And there's some other companies that people like to advertise, like Endurance, Car Shield, and Car Checks. I have no experience with them, but they seem to be the big players in the aftermarket warranty segment, so you can do more research on that. As I mentioned before, you go with the certified pre-owned car, you get slightly better interest rates, like 5.5%. You get a 2020 WRX with low mileage for around $27,000. It's not the worst thing in the world, finance and get it paid off as quickly as possible. But the thing you have to understand about financing is banks typically front load the interest. So if you have like a 6 or a 7 year loan, the first 2 to 3 years of your financed loan, you're paying primarily in interest. And there are people that watch some of my buyer's guide videos, they hear me say that and they're like, oh, I never heard of that before. This guy is lying. Banks don't front load the interest. Like, you're one Google search away from finding out if I'm capping or not. Like, I don't know why people are flipping out. If you don't know, just Google it and double check to see if what I'm saying is right or not. Mortgages do this too. Like, the first 10 to 15 years of your mortgage, you're paying primarily in interest, and that's why you're building very little equity in homes and cars when you do a traditional finance. That's why my personal favorite way of purchasing is leasing a new car and getting a low interest rate lease. That used to be the case with the 2023 WRX. People used to be able to get $350 a month payments, but now it's closer to $550 a month. I have a free leasing calculator in the description box below. Leasing programs change every month, but right now, December of 2023, the interest rate on a new WRX lease program is like 7%, so that sucks. But if it was lower, like 1 or 2%, then that would be a great way of buying a car. You lease it for the first 3 years, and if you still like the car, then you can buy it out at the end of the lease. And that way you make way more equity in the car than if you just did a traditional finance. But obviously in the used car market, that's not possible. You can't lease used cars. So I would just pay the car off as quickly as possible. And keep in mind, some credit unions, they might not even finance really old cars like 2015 and 2016. That's something else to think about. And even if they do, you can expect to pay over 10% in interest. I mean, there is another way of financing used cars, and that's by getting a whole life insurance policy. Not a regular one. It has to be a specially engineered and designed whole life insurance policy, not just some random garbage that you get at State Farm or Allstate. And if you have enough cash, you can load up the insurance policy and you can borrow from that. And instead of getting a front-loaded interest loan, you can get a back-loaded interest loan, and you can finance a used car that way, and that's great. But typically, if you're sophisticated enough to run a policy like that and you're implementing that in your life, you probably have bigger and better things going on, and you're most likely not looking into purchasing a WRX. But I just thought I would throw that out there. These are just things that no other car reviewer is going to bother to share with you. But yes, borrowing from a whole life insurance policy is one way of beating this high interest rate car market, but it's almost like paying cash for a car, and that's pretty much something that 90% of this country is unable to do. But that's everything I wanted to share. That's all the resources. Let's go ahead and let's conclude this video. All right, well, as you can tell, I'm a huge fan of this car. I love the way it drives. I love the way it looks. This is my most favorite looking generation of the WRX. The new car might be great, but I'm just not a huge fan of the looks. Granted, at one point, the new one was very cheap to lease. Maybe those deals could return in the future. Who knows? But if you love the 4th generation of the WRX, you have no choice. You have to go to the used car market. And if you're going to do that, I would definitely try to get it certified pre-owned. I know there's not many to choose from, but if you are able to get one, pay up for the classic or the gold coverage. Pay the extra $1,400 to $2,000. I think that's worth it. And alternatives, I mean, if you're really on a budget and you're really young and you just want a cool new car, I mean, honestly, you can get a Corolla SE sedan for like $25,000. Pay it off as quickly as possible, and that's a new, reliable, very fuel efficient car without any headaches. Because the prices that you're paying for CPO WRXs, that's literally what they cost when they were brand new to begin with. But it is a capable car, comes with an amazing all-wheel drive system, and hopefully you appreciate all of the resources that I shared with you, like NHTSA, the forums, various websites, Edmunds. I do love using Edmunds to do research. They show you the original MSRP of cars. They show you detailed specs. They also share with you what's new for every model year. They do a great job in consolidating that information. You can also use carcomplaints.com. They basically take the NHTSA website and they do a great job in consolidating that information as well. They even show you the crash test results for the time, and a 2016 WRX was a IIHS top safety pick, so that is great to see. Granted, the crash tests have gotten stricter since then, but the WRX is a reasonably safe car. And if you're an owner of one of these cars, share with us in the comment section how your ownership experience has been, what issues you've had. The other great thing about Subaru products is Subaru dealerships are amazing to work with. They literally treat you like a Mercedes-Benz customer. So that's amazing. That's another reason why I don't really mind recommending or purchasing a certified pre-owned WRX. If this is a car that you love, dealing with Subaru dealers is nice. They will typically take care of you. That's my buyer's guide video for the 4th generation WRX. Thank you for watching. Take care and goodbye.